This is the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jess.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's go, guys. How's everyone doing in Facebook
We're doing
world?
great.
Hope you are doing well. Leave some comments.
We're live now. We're
Yes,
live,
sir.
but we are not alone.
Nope.
We have with us. I only can call him as coach. I've been calling him coach long before. It was decades before he was ever my coach. All right, we have with us the one, the only, the infamous Mike Conroy. Welcome, coach.
Yes, sir. What's up, coach?
Thank you. What's going on, guys? Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. So we pretty much last week were like, all right, let's make this happen. And pretty much as soon as I asked you, like, yep, let's do it.
I'm not like on Facebook and write a bunch of stuff and everything like that and comment. So I normally, after I watch one of your shows, I usually call you and talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So we can get into all kinds of stuff. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what happened this past weekend. And we wanted to, Alex and I had some things to address and talk about. And
Did you see,
we would love to see if you had some input on the show, if you got to watch it or heard about it or what. Jesse Ray's show.
did you watch the set fights?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Got it.
All right.
Got it.
I didn't watch the fights. I didn't see them. I can't. All I know is who won. I can't tell you anything about the fights, how anybody looked. I just actually found out, which I thought was pretty interesting, is that one of the fights was in Atlanta, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was actually really cool. I like the camera angles of that one better. But I heard that there's going to be like a re-showing of
this
them
Friday
as well. I'm going to do
8
that
p.m.
as well. Even though I saw it live, I'm going to do it again anyway.
Right.
But hey,
I was actually on vacation.
Correct.
In New Hampshire, so I was actually not able to watch the show.
Well, hey,
Awesome.
I got a couple of quick shout outs before we get into that. So we did this before, we kind of got away from it, but shout out to Chance Turner. It was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Chance.
Happy birthday,
Chance.
Shout out to Ashley Ferruzzi. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Ashley.
Oh, Ashley, I can't wait for all you guys from Minnesota to come back. Oh, we got to do some snipe hunting.
Wow.
You know what? Here's what I'm going to tell everybody. There's a lot of great storytellers in the world. There's a lot. Mike Conroy will have stories that will trump everyone's stories. But my last shout out is shout out to my brother-in-law, Adam Miller. It was his birthday last week, but I didn't want to cramp the anniversary show. Adam was a pro offensive lineman talent. He's actually had a spot on the Cincinnati Bengals, but he's a mammoth of a man. He's like 6'6" both ways, and So that's our shout outs. But I want to get right into what happened last weekend. So last Saturday, it was Saturday.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, it was Saturday.
Yeah, it was.
Last Saturday night, Jesse Ray had the virtual fight tour, and it was awesome. It was phenomenal. I haven't been this psyched about a karate tournament, I don't know, since my first karate tournament, because that's kind of what it felt like. It's been so long.
Right.
So here's how the fights went. We won't get too in-depth with it. We had Stan versus Darren, Angel versus Pro, Ryan versus Kevin, and the closeout was Bailey versus Tyreek. Don't have tons of notes on all of them. Coach, do you know Stan Rakoff and Darren Payne?
I know of them. I don't really know them well. I do know of them.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
For sure.
Well, I didn't know Stan at all. All right.
Yeah.
And I had heard that Stan, well, he's out in your area. He's in Connecticut as well. I heard.
Yes, he is from my area, from what I understand. I mean, I've never seen him. I just recently started hearing about him from Mark G. Mark G. Called me up, and I guess they were doing a bunch of training camps. Him, Bailey, Angel, and all them. They were training together. So, and I used to train. All them guys used to come to my school on Wednesday nights, and but that was before Stan, and I haven't done anything in a year probably at my school with the Wednesday night. So
I'd never seen Stan fight before. So when it came time to pick, and I'm like, well, I don't even know him, so I'm gonna pick Darren.
Right.
Now Darren won, but that's not exactly how the fight went down. The only thing I could really say is, and I took notes on it. You could really tell these were teenagers. You could tell, like they were
you
young.
could tell they were young. Yeah.
It wasn't just that they fought in a completely straight line, and that's one way where you can kind of tell, like, all right, these guys are kind of young because they're just going, right? Just physical ability. I'm gonna go score, but like you could tell Stan trains with Bailey. Just kind of by the way that he maneuvers sometimes. Dude's really fast, but he didn't kick nearly enough. So Darren landed a few head kicks. I don't even know if I remember Stan kicking more than a few times.
Yeah, not much.
The end score was Darren was ahead by a decent amount, but I mean the way Stan was fighting, you wouldn't guess that it was exactly like that. You would have guessed like, all right, Darren won by like 3 or 4, but no, he won by a decent amount. And he did a really good job keeping that spread. But there were 3 2-minute matches, Coach. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I did know that.
And that was in a cage too.
Yeah,
it was in a cage, so it was different.
Right.
I did see that. Yeah.
But what was really cool, nobody got tired. Right.
That was so weird.
I don't want to say nobody got tired. Towards the end of like the last round, a few times, like Stan got tired towards the end of the last round.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still like they were going pretty intense. So yeah, I mean it was a good fight. It was kind of how I thought it would go. But even just because of the way that we've seen Darren in the past, and how he fights. So it was a good one. As far as the second one, that's when things picked up.
Yeah, so this was the one. So Angel Diaz versus Pralada Milligan Kufi. Angel was pumped for this one, and so he was ready to go. But I gotta say, like, they didn't kick nearly enough, and Angel was down. How much was Angel down going into the last round? He was down by like 7.
8. I think it was 7 or 8. Yeah,
he was down by 7 or 8.
Yeah,
and
but that's because Pro did kick him in the head a couple of times. Yeah,
Pro did a few. Pro did a few of those, especially in the second round. But then in the third round,
7.
He was down by 7. Okay, so he was down by 7 going into the third round. And then at one point, I think Angel either tied it or was down by 1 or 2. Like
I think he tied it.
Boom. Yeah, he tied it, and he was going. So, and Coach, you know this because you know Sam Diaz, right? Because that's his brother, right? But
can you hear
Coach?
I
could. Yeah, Coach, I want to check your mic. No, can't hear it. Can't hear you, Coach.
Maybe turn your volume up.
No.
Oh man.
Figure that out a little bit. I'm gonna mention a little bit what happened in the Angel Pro fight. So in the Angel Pro fight, so they're going, and Angel's kicks are really what got him back. Not necessarily him scoring the kicks, but it was his kicks bringing him there. And he actually was pushing Pro up kind of against the cage.
Right.
And then all of a sudden Pro started cutting those angles.
Yep.
Got a little bit different there, and then he actually used the cage to his advantage.
Yes, he did. He did.
But it was close. Like I thought Angel was going to pull it off. I thought Angel was going to get the comeback. Well, I mean, we didn't pick him. I picked him.
Yeah, you picked
Angel
him.
was really upset with you.
Yeah, he was upset with me.
Yeah.
No, sir. I can't hear you, Coach.
Coach, you got your mic back?
No. I hear a little bit, but not very loud.
Yeah, not really. Maybe Tyrus?
Or maybe
fix that?
go out of the Zoom link and then come back in. That may help.
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes that works. But yeah, so again, Pro, one of the things that he was doing throughout the fight was, because we kept, and Chris was talking about too, is that he would pick the leg up but not really try to kick. And so every time he picked it up, he would back fist him, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, they both had to kind of put some pressure on, but Pro used the movement around the cage more, so it was good.
All right. So before we get off of that, what I want to say, so Angel had it going. When I said, I really thought he was going to get it, is because he was kicking at and over the head. Like all of a sudden he starts
Yeah.
doing it and he starts chasing him and his foot is at or over his head and he's going.
Correct.
But then when he would get to Pro, he'd put it down, right? Pro would give him a little bit of a challenge and then he'd put it down sometimes. Now, he had a lot of way to go. And it's the third round. Like, I'm not going to give him any flag on that. Like, just did 3 rounds, guy. So, but yeah, that's kind of the difference maker. When you look at like the greatest kickers, right? They don't kick to, like we all say it, we all know it, we all practice it. You don't kick to your target, you kick through your target. But even like your target, we have moving targets, right? The target's got to move. So wherever your target is, when you hit it, it's going to move. So you got to keep going. So, but I thought it was great. People should look at this, and I really think people are going to look at Angel and go, man, I need a guy. I'm getting him. Because I think, what is he, 20, 22?
22. Yep.
22? Yeah. Someone's
Yep.
going to look at him, and they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to give this guy a shot. And they should, because the guy can
He's
do
motivated.
it. I don't know what weight he fights at. Probably like welter or light middle, something like that. It kind of looked like it.
Yeah, he'll reply in the comments.
Sure.
He's watching right now, so.
So then I want to go to the Bailey and Tyreek fight. Bailey,
here we go.
Little upset with us.
Yeah.
All right. Coach, jump back in anytime. But so Bailey was upset with us because we picked Tyreek. We didn't collaborate on that.
No.
One of us, I can't remember who picked first. One of us picked the other one. And then we're just like, I agree.
Remember. Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't have any reason why I was picking it. All right? I didn't really have one. I'm just like, coin flip. Because it's that type of match with them. I thought it was going to be kind of like that. All right?
Right. Well, normally, let's be honest. Normally, we pick Bailey a lot of times, right?
Right.
I mean, almost always we usually do. There's only a couple fights where we say, okay, it could be a back and forth. And you and I talked off air, too, about, okay, both of us, the way we respect and feel about Jack, right? Jack's because we talked about that as well. I think the only time we didn't pick Bailey to win, like for a tournament, was when maybe we had picked Jack or we thought Jack was going to be there, just because of his experience and his just composure that he's had, right? But yeah, I mean, as far as that, most of the time we usually pick Bailey. And honestly, after Irish Open, I was pretty hard on not hard, but I was like, Tyreek was the one that we were all pumped up to see, and everyone was excited. He got on a new team and everything. And
the Waco event just prior to that.
Right. And that's what
he did
Waco
really
as
well.
Well, he lost first or second round. He lost his first fight. Yeah, he lost his first fight to the guy who ended up, I think, winning it or going to the finals. So I mean, he had a lot of pressure on him. And then we saw how after Irish Open, he, at Keith McKinley's turn, how he fought and how awesome he was. Like, okay, let's see if this, this goes from here. So, I chose him to see what's happened. Guess what? Overall, it motivated him and it pumped him up, right?
Now?
Yes,
I hear you now, Coach. Now but we can't see you.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to talk quickly about how the match went. There were not nearly enough kicks. There were no kicks happening in.
I think they were trying to save themselves to not
get
tired.
Right.
In the Bailey and Tyreek fight?
Possibly. I know that was, from what I understand, I think that was a game plan for Angel, because surprisingly, when I heard you guys talking, that you said that Angel wasn't kicking, and Angel's a real good kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, surprisingly hearing that from you guys that he wasn't kicking a lot. So I think maybe that his game plan was to wait till that third round. And
he mentioned that as well. Yeah, he mentioned that in his post-interview, that he was trying to chill out, but he put himself in a kind of a big hole that looked like, all right, this isn't looking, and he came back. So
but then he proved that, hey, it could be down by 7, and it's not a hole too big, because it wasn't a hole too big because he tied it up.
Yeah.
But no, in the Bailey and Tyreek fight, there was,
as far as that fight,
here's how it was officiated, and I don't fault first of all, they themselves fought in a straight line, and I don't necessarily fault them because they're so stinking fast that when one of them blitzed and just took off, the other one couldn't stop it. That's just how stinking fast. I don't know that I've seen that kind of speed from two fighters at the same time like that before. No, usually you see that kind of speed when there's like a mismatch. But no, they both had it on different occasions going back and forth like that. Bailey would just say, I'm gone. No fake, just take off, right? A couple of exchanges later, Tyreek would do the same thing. No fake, just take off. And they were getting it.
They're very similar fighters. I mean,
yeah.
None of them they don't offset each other a lot. It's going to be the takeoff on either one of those. Who's going to take off first? Because even though the size difference, they're definitely similar fighters for sure.
Yeah, right. And that's why, like both of us, when we go to picking, it's pretty similar. You know, it's just is what it is.
Right.
They are, and they train together some.
I think really the only thing that I don't want to say the only thing. One of the biggest things that made it Bailey took the win was there was a few occasions where Tyreek hesitated.
Yeah.
Tyreek hesitated, and Bailey was just like, got you, boom, and just took off. All right? And then that was it. Now, the best fight of the night, not even close, was the Ryan and Kevin fight. So we've seen this matchup with these guys. They fight each other a ton of times before. But this was by far the best match. If you could only watch one match, which why would you do that? You would watch this match. Now, both of them were kicking a good amount right from the start and kept it going kind of throughout. But also, it's the only match where they used the entire area, right, that they had, right? Yeah. I don't know if maybe they felt more comfortable because the other matches were in a cage, and maybe they felt like you just go. Sometimes subconsciously you think that. Right, Jeff, have you ever fought in a boxing ring before?
Yes. Yeah. It's really it's different.
If you're not prepared, sometimes it messes with you in your head. Coach, would you say the same thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So this match, it messed up, man. I lost the whole second round. I didn't see the second round.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. My screen froze. I was trying to watch it. I had to get out and come back in. By the time I came back in, all right, they were like, we're all tied up. It was into the tied up, round. Yeah. I'm like, oh, man.
So, Ryan was up, 5-1 in the first round, I think, or 5-2?
5-2.
Yeah.
After the second round.
It was 5-5 or 6-6, or it was tied up.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know.
But it was tied up in the second round. So
now the
Kevin
third
came
round,
back, which is what I expected. I expect him to come back.
Sure. He came back. The third round, and I'm not saying there were bad calls, because I'm not. I just thought there were way too many no calls.
Yeah.
There's just way too many no calls for a match like that. And it's not on one judge, because there's three of them, right? Mm-hmm. But there was just so many awesome exchanges where there's a kick come in, and whether it's a check or a hit and then a punch or something. But there was just, how is there that many times that there's no call? As a fighter, you feel like I can't have nothing to gauge off of. I don't know if I should keep doing this or if I should change it, or if why tell me, did I mess up or not? Don't just say,
were they old school judges?
No, it was a mix. It was
Ernest, it was Willie Marshall, and then the center was James Poor. So it was a mix.
It was a mix. So, but it was just, there was a lot of no calls. I mean, and there were some exchanges where I thought it would go one way or the other, but there was on a lot of them I thought it's.
There was only two times there was a real clash, in my opinion. There was some times where, they both threw something, but one definitely hit before the other, in my view. But maybe that's also maybe we had a good camera angle, you know.
Well, that's true, but but I can't sit there and say Ryan should have got it, because there's no, I'm not going to say that, and I'm not going to say Kevin should have got it by more, or he doesn't deserve it. He won. He deserved it. But it went into overtime. Freaking cool. Now, I wanted 1 minute overtime no matter what. Right. So, Coach, there was supposed to be – it was either going to be a coin flip. It was either going to be first point or 1 minute overtime.
I did see that on your last show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they went into 1 minute overtime. Then they went to
they were tied again.
Tied again. So they went another minute. Now,
so they got
Kevin pulled it off.
Kevin, pulled it off, Which, honestly, when it kept going like that, that was when I was like, all right, I think
Dude,
Kevin
I
will
thought
get
Ryan
it.
was going to do something crazy. I thought Ryan was going to try like a jump spin.
It's just hard to do that. You can't do that on Kevin. There's certain fighters you can, but I don't think you can on Kevin. But I mean, I've just seen them fight so many times, and in an atmosphere in NBL, they fought a lot in NBL where there is that 3-point kick, and Ryan has a lot of times an advantage because of the cartwheel kick and stuff, which he did throw, right? But
Yes.
yeah, but it was too far out of the way. So
right.
But overall, it was a good show. It was fun.
Here's what I wanted to get into. So Coach doesn't have a horse in the race.
Right.
When you watch Ryan and Kevin fight, tell me what you see.
What do I see? I mean, Kevin offsets him well. I mean, it all depends on what Ryan shows up.
Right.
It all depends on. I mean, it's like, to me, actually, Ryan is probably one of my favorite fighters. His front leg is one of the best in the game since who was that other kid, Justice Lawrence. I mean, he definitely has that front leg, but sometimes it's just not as effective as it could be. It just seems like maybe, I don't know if his front leg gets tired or if he's just not drilling it in that way to score them points the way that he should be, because his front leg should be nearly impossible to get around.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So, I mean, and Kevin is a very smart fighter and calm. Kevin, you can be up on Kevin, and Kevin will still stay calm. That's like the one thing that made Raymond Daniels one of the best ever, because you never seen Raymond panic. Never, ever seen Raymond panic. I seen him down by a bunch of points in one round and come back and win the whole fight in the next round. He doesn't panic, and he sticks to basics, and, I didn't see the fight. So, I mean, I don't know how that fight ended up, but I know that, they're pretty evenly matched. If they were to fight, for me, it's very hard to pick a winner. And in the first 10 seconds, you can tell, because you can see what Ryan's going to show up and what Kevin's going to show up. So
right.
that's what it comes down to for me.
So the 3 rounds really made a big difference with it. So
I'm sure.
And then ended up the extra 2 minutes after that. So really it was 4 rounds.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So it was a great fight, and I mean, I think I never get tired of watching them two fight. So
well, how did they set it up? Was there a lot of lag time in between? Was there? Because I heard like the fights were every 30 minutes or something like that. Am I wrong?
That's how it was set up. But really, it wasn't that much lag time. They did some interviews in between. They let Travis and Chris kind of talk a little bit in between them and set it up and then go to the next one. So it started a little bit later, which I knew would happen, first time trying to figure everything out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But it still ended at 8 o'clock, so it planned to go 6 to 8. So it ended by then, and then I think they started maybe 6:15 or something. So it was good. It was good.
I did hear that Travis and Chris did a great job commentating. That it sounded really good.
Really good.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
I did hear that. And also if I had to change one thing, if I had to pick one thing to change, what I would have did is I definitely would have put Kevin and
Ryan
as the main event.
Yeah. I mean, look, so. Definitely.
Not
looking back on it now for sure.
Not because hearing that it was such a great fight. Tyreek and Bailey are both great fighters for sure. But they're also, very good friends, like best friends, and I've seen them fight a lot. And, Kevin and Ryan have fought a lot also. And, but just due to that level of where they are, I would have picked Ryan and Kevin definitely be the main event.
Yeah. So right. I mean but having the main event with Bailey and Tyreek, I mean, it's fine. I mean, we get it. Bailey's this. Yeah. So Bailey was not too happy with Jeff and I
because we chose Tyreek
because we picked Tyreek for. It's just like, why not?
Yeah.
He's mad. But you know what? Here's what I'm going to say, man. Why do you get caught up in your feelings? They're yours. You
Right.
get to have them. They're nobody else's but yours.
Right.
You can keep them too. All right. And
Well,
it's
listen,
not a matter of do we think he's good or not? Yeah, you're good. He said, Stop saying I'm the future. I'm not the future. I'm the present. You're right.
Right.
Don't get upset about the Elijah thing.
I don't think that
Don't
was
get
coming
upset
from
about
us,
the Elijah
but
thing,
whatever.
Bailey.
Yeah.
We said Elijah was the overall fighter of the year last year. Homeboy won 10 open weights.
Right.
And followed that up by winning the Irish Open.
Everything he did at the Irish Open.
What are we supposed to do with that?
Right. And he did. No offense, he did beat Bailey doing that. So, right. So all I look at is results. So that's it. So, and I hope we keep motivating you, and there you go. But it's no disrespect. He was our first active competitor that we had on our show. So it's not like we had to show any disrespect to Bailey. But if you use that to get you pumped up, that's great. I've had to do that before too. So it's all good. I think so.
I mean, you can't take nothing away from Elijah. That kid is incredible. He's really good. They're all good, but I mean, your show's never gonna be like it is if you don't have some kind of controversy.
That's right.
You gotta say your feelings. It's like I had a conversation with someone today, and I'm like, look, I love everybody on my team like a family, but at one point or another, everybody on my team hates me because I don't pick them to put them in that team fight. But I can't worry about everybody that's going to not like me that night that I didn't pick them to be in a team fight. That's not my problem. We're going, man, you do your performance and you do what you have to do, then you're going to be in there, and
there we go.
Style set fights. But I mean, and it has happened since I started coaching.
Yes. I remember having conversations with you about that.
Yeah. And you know the problems we had in the beginning, Jeff, and where Spencer told me, Mike, just that's it. Clear the team out. The team's all done. We'll pick a whole new team.
Well, speaking of, let's get right to that now.
Yeah, let's go into the interview. We've gone in all long enough.
Let's do this though, Coach. So many people, if you've been competing in the last 20 years, that's a long time. No one's ever seen or know you were a fighter unless someone told them you were a fighter. Right? Now, but no, not only were you a fighter and you were a dang good fighter, you were on one of the original JPM teams.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Tell us how all that got going.
Right.
Well, we started as a team. I was an original member of Spider Brand.
Right.
Spider Brand was before Paul Mitchell, and it was by rest in peace David Randall, which was a great competitor. He was awesome, and he ended up getting shot and killed. But Dave Randall put a team together, and the team was put together to fight against the Atlantic team. We just put a bunch of guys together. So David Randall went around to our area. Everybody was from this area first, and to get a team together
New England area.
to fight against the Atlantic team. Okay, so he picked the top guys that were winning, which were me, Pedro, Dave Randall, Steve Babcock, and I think maybe even Larry Rogers at the time. Larry Rogers was another one that trained. We trained together at the same school for a while. He owned Top 10 Karate Studio. And he got that group together. And we ended up going to one tournament in Canada. And we get there, and the guy that owned Spider Brand didn't pay for our room, didn't pay our registrations. We were stuck at a hotel. We all crammed into a room. And so Steve said, hey, look, I got this friend, John Paul Jones, DeJoria, that's part owners in Paul Mitchell. And he said, I'm going to ask him for sponsorship. So Steve was personal friends with John Paul Jones DeJoria. Okay. Yeah. So that's how we got our sponsorship, through Steve Babcock.
Now I heard, tell me about this one, and I'm not quite sure the validity of it. I heard that like Steve knew John Paul Because like he lived next door to him in California or something like that. How did that go?
I believe he rented an apartment from him.
Okay.
I believe he rented an apartment from him. So
Okay.
I'm almost positive that's how it went. Going back a long time, I'm not really positive, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went. I know they were on a personal level, you know.
Right.
And at the
What?
same
Wow.
at the same time, we were getting our sponsorship. You know, it was going through. Now there's John Paul Jones Ajoria and there's Paul Mitchell. There were two of them.
Yeah.
And as we were going through it, Paul Mitchell himself passed away. Something I don't remember exact. I believe it was a brain hemorrhage. Something happened.
Now,
So
about
we're
what
like,
year
oh
is
man,
this?
the company's gonna go down. You know,
90 maybe,
you know,
89, 90.
So
Okay.
then John Paul still went through with everything and still took over the company because I believe John Paul owned 51% of the country. I mean company, not country.
Yeah.
Sorry, company. 51% of the company. So and that's how it still kept. Paul Mitchell kept going and surviving. But I mean, when you talk about a sponsor and someone that really cares, I've honestly been blessed with the sponsors that I've had that really cared about their players and everything. Like John Paul, you know, he took us to his penthouse and he had us try this stuff. He's like, oh, try this stuff. And his penthouse is overlooking Central Park. And we're like, oh, this is good. What is it? And it was Patron Tequila. So we tried Patron Tequila as a team before it ever even hit the market. So he's like, what do you think about this? Yeah. So, you know, he was a great guy. He took us to Hawaii, to Oahu with James Coburn and all the other professional teams. And, you know, he really treated us well, extremely, extremely well. I mean, Paul Mitchell, their sponsorship and their team is A1 professional, like you wouldn't believe. But
so like, yeah, go ahead. So as a competitor, so what was this, 89 maybe or 90? Because I know, or before that.
Yeah, my last fight I think was in like '99. I did a challenge, a King of the Ring challenge. I was
remember,
retired for 2 years already, and there was a active competitor on the scene, Tokyo Joe, Bobby Lamantina, and he was a big competitor over here. And they called me up to do a 3-round challenge fight against him, and I haven't fought in like 2 years already. Yeah. And I go, and they called me up, and I said, all right, I'll do it for this amount. And because I didn't want to fight. I'll be honest, I did not want to fight. So I said, if I ask for this, they're going to say, no, get out of here. They call me back 10 minutes later. They're like, okay, we'll accept it. And I'm like, really? No. So I had like a month to train. And at the same, like 2 weeks after they
now you got to do it.
Yeah, now I had to do it because now I couldn't back out. And it was 2 weeks after they asked me, I started to get in shape, and the New England Open came up. So I haven't fought in like 2 years, and I show up at the New England Open and just to fight to get the rust out.
Sure.
And the number one fighter at the time was, I think, a guy by name, I'm sure Jeff knows him, Kurt Purnell.
Yeah. Oh, in that,
In that weight class. Yes. And I go in there and I beat him. And now I'm fighting for first and second. I'm fighting a guy by the name of Boogie Frazier. And he was with Fontanez on Gene Frazier on that team and stuff. And I lost to Boogie. And that was like the first time I lost to Boogie. I used to beat him all the time. So I'm like, man, now I got to train. And that night, Tokyo Joe beat Boogie. So I'm like, now I really got to train. So that's how that all came. But that's how my last fight ended in fighting a 3-round fight in 99. Yeah.
So as far as when Paul Mitchell started, what year was that? Was it 89, 90?
No.
Earlier than that?
Earlier than that.
Okay.
I was on Paul Mitchell for 8 years. So probably I was like 21 at the time. I was young. Yeah.
All right. So as far as like those younger years, what do you remember? What are some of the big moments of Paul Mitchell from the beginning? I know you and I had talked about, you know, that first Super Grands and that team that you guys had.
Yeah.
What was your team? Like who else were you fighting with and alongside?
Right.
My team was me, Alberto,
Alberto
and
Montron. Yeah.
Alberto Montron and Steve Babcock. That was our team. We were considered the B team. Then there was Pedro, John Payton, Chris Rappold.
Yep.
That was they were the A team. But me, Alberto, and Steve were probably Metro's biggest thorn, because my matchup with Donald was an easier matchup than with Ronald.
Right.
So I was the lightweight at that time, so they used to do it like that. So I matched up against Donald, so that was a good matchup. And then Alberto against
Ronald Brady was the middleweight, Donald was the lightweight.
Right. And then Alberto against Ronald was always really close. And then Steve used to really, he did excellent against Mafia.
Yeah.
So that matchup there, we won a lot of team fights.
So you were fixing matchups since long decades before you were a coach.
Oh yeah. Well, we had to, then like my best memory of team fighting when it was me, Ronald Brady, and Kevin Thompson.
Okay.
And we were 3 lightweights at the time, and we fought, where was it? It might have been Empire States.
Yeah, it was Empire. Yeah, I remember that now. Like 94, maybe 94, 95, one of those years.
Yeah, and
it was 94.
And we won the whole thing. We beat there was a lot of teams there, and we won the whole thing. I remember the last team I think we fought was
Prestige.
Akbar Austin, Shaw Austin, and Hakeem Austin.
Yeah. That was the big fight, right? When they're
there was a lot of them, but with KA when he hit Hakeem off the stage, it was
Tell us about that. Tell us about that. I haven't heard that.
Well, I remember it's when Shaw and Shaw fought Ronald.
Okay.
And Ronald beat him by a good amount. So at one point, Shaw tried to go after Ronald, and I remember Hakeem grabbing him and saying, "Oh, now you want to fight? You should be fighting in the ring." It was just funny stuff. And then KA and Hakeem went at it. That was always just
which is wild because Hakeem is like as tall as a tree.
Yes, but KA. K didn't back down from nobody. He was a complete animal in the ring,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had shared, I think someone had shared about that fight before as well on the show, but just didn't get into the details of it. But Hakeem and KA, wow.
They went off the stage. It was definitely a good fight. But even back then, the rivalries were so bad but good. Like everybody they wanted to literally kill each other. But it was you fought. There was so much good competition out there. You had Metro that had so many teams, but every team they had was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Paul Mitchell with 2 teams that were 2 solid teams. Then you had Prestige, and you had, there was a Miller Lite team, and what was that one?
DKT.
Yep, that team, and there were some good teams out there, real good competitors. It was really awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. And then of course, if you went over the West Coast, you had different ones like Sherman Oaks and Bay Area's Best and those guys that were just different depending on where you're at. So, it's I remember going to your house for a week, and we just sat and we just watched tapes from 89, 90, 91, 92 I just sat there for days and just did that. So I was good. But so much good stuff. And I think I wrote an article about one of the fights, and it was the 1992 US Open, where it was the fight with JPM and Metro. I think it was the fight to get to stage, and just how amazing Pedro was. And just amazing. And so you were in his division a lot of times, and even when it went to going to Waco's, you guys either were on the same team or you were competing against each other because he represented his country, right?
Yes. Pedro definitely was, to me, honestly, probably the best. I mean, Pedro could fight offensively, defensively. His chamber. I mean, I remember hitting Pedro with a back fist, being right against him, hitting me in the nose with an axe kick, and I'm like, how the heck does this happen? You know,
Right.
I mean, he Pedro was that good, and you know, we went back and forth a lot, and you know, I beat Pedro a good amount of times. He beat me a lot, and you know, but just to be on that elite level with them guys there is like, holy cow! It's a whole different level, you know. And like, I like the fighters today. The pace is fast, but there's very few fighters like a Cam Dawson that are going to hit you if you turn around, or back leg round kick you in your face. Every fighter was like that when I came up. Right. Every fighter. You couldn't let your hands down. You couldn't. They'd grab you, sweep you, stomp you. You know, Billy Beast and stuff like that. Them guys would really try to take it to you. You had to be like on point. And you talk about like the judges calling no. See, it took longer to get 3 points than it does to get 10 points now.
Right.
Okay.
It's true. It's true.
So that's why I asked, was there old school judges there?
That's good point.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and Ernest Miller, me and Ernest trained together for a long time. Ernest was in this area for a while, and we trained together for a long time. Me, him, Michael Jai White. We all had some good training. Ernest, I brought him up, and he was probably, I think I introduced him to be on Paul Mitchell and get him involved with that. Because me and Ernest traveled and did a lot of stuff together. So.
Awesome. Okay, so then you're on Paul Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Your time with Paul Mitchell ends when?
Oh, you're asking me to think now. It had to end in 21, 2, 3, 4, probably when I was about 28, 20. Okay. Yeah, about 28 years old.
What happened
I was on there
after
for
that?
like 8 years. What happened was I was still kind of a member, and Rocky DeRico and another guy, Dave Collins, they said, hey, we got this sponsorship, and we think that you would be a great coach for a team.
Okay.
And
okay. All right.
So they talked me into coaching. And so we did. And
Rocky DeRico talked you into coaching.
Wow.
That's so awesome. Interesting.
That
wow. Is. Yes. So, and then he ended up going with Paul Mitchell again.
Of course, right? That's usually how it happens.
But me and Rocky ended up, I'm going to tell you a story that's going to blow your mind.
Good.
Me and Rocky ended up basically sponsoring team. There was a team by the name of Trade Winds, which was a guy out of Florida that told us he was the manager or in charge of Trade Winds Hotel in Florida, and that they were going to sponsor us. And so they're like, we're going to get you the money. You go to the events, we'll reimburse you. So at this time, I went to the casino at one point, and I won like $15,000 at the casino one night.
Get the heck out of here.
Put that money in a draw. And me and Rocky ended up paying for the team basically because the guy lied, and he was a janitor or something at Trade Winds.
Oh my God.
Get the heck out of here.
So me and Rocky got stuck with everything and never got reimbursed. And so
who does that?
It happens more than you know, I'm sure. That's why I said I was blessed with, you know, Paul Mitchell, that was A1, you know, Spencer with CJB, A1, Tom Kelly, A1, Rick and Sue Diaz, A1. You know, it's the sponsorships. Right. I try to get involved with the, you know, good people and
people. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully
So
it
tell
will.
about that Trade Winds team, because this was 97, right? So this was after Metro dissolved,
Yes.
and Elite came about at the end of 96. And actually, you guys had a team at that same 96 Diamonds as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I remember because I had the
We-
video and all that. So
Our first
Now
time
that
out.
Diamonds, there was a blizzard that year too, and
Yeah.
it was downtown Minneapolis, and it was just a hot mess for
Yes.
people to get around.
And our first team fight out, it was Donald, Ronald. I forget who the third was. Maybe Johnny Guante.
Yeah, it was Johnny Guante. That's what I think.
In California, and we won. They called me up. I couldn't make it to California, and their first time out, they won. Okay. Right. And then we started to pick up some other players. We picked up Rick Lee and Nicky Carlson Lee. We had a very small group. You know, Freddie LePan's been with me since basically the beginning too. So Freddie LePan, you know.
There's one more that was Chris on your team too. Chris Styles.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Chris Styles.
Okay, I knew there was one.
Team.
I knew there was one more that I was missing. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Jeff.
So I mean, and then that team just kind of picked up. I remember the first time that you guys actually, since any of this happened, the first team that actually beat JPM was you guys, and I think that was that Ocean State or New England Open.
I think the first time we beat them was Ocean State.
Yeah, it was Ocean. Yeah,
was Ocean State, and I'll never forget. And that's when Pedro was on team and everything. And I remember our first time beating them, and I'm very animated, and I just was like, yeah. And Coach Don walks up to me, and says, "Mike," he said, "Congratulations, but just don't be so excited. You know, these are your brothers, you know." And I'm like, look, I'm on a different side now. I can't help but get overly excited. So now every time before a team fight with Don, I walk up to him and I say, "I apologize to anything that's going to happen before this fight happens. I apologize in advance now."
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's cool.
That JPM team at the time, that had to be, what was that? Pedro, Mike Pombero, and Brian Ruth probably?
Brian Ruth, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was the team. Yeah.
Look at that matchup there. You guys took them to town. Wow.
90% of the time. 90, maybe a little more. We had a winning record. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, all them fighters, it's like, who would you think that you could get the most points on?
Yeah.
Of those guys?
Out of the Paul Mitchell team, who was your offset?
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. Maybe at that time, maybe Mike. I don't know.
Or was it Brian? Mike's the most crafty fighter.
Right.
I know. That's what I'm trying to
Mike's
think.
the most crafty.
I can't see anybody racking up a bunch of points. So you're asking me to choose from not a very good pool. So I'm assuming
I would say Brian because of mistakes, but maybe it was
Brian Ruth.
Yep.
No
I love Brian.
Yeah.
The one thing that what I always did, if you go back and look at old tapes, okay, Brian is a very tall fighter, stands up tall, okay, and Brian
high.
Does not block his head. If you kick at his head, you'll kick him in the head all day.
And he bounces pretty high, so he doesn't. Yeah, he can't transition. So, I suppose so.
Yeah,
I never had to think about game planning against him, so I suppose.
Yeah, so that was our offset. I'd save a kicker, a flexible kicker, of course, to fight against, and Ronald could definitely do that.
Yeah.
So that was our offset. Then when we moved on, Jason was the one to take it to him.
Yeah.
Correct. Later on. Yeah.
But it don't matter how tall someone is. Jason Borelli, he'd kick anybody.
That's right.
Well, that's the whole thing. But some people, Brian was so strong and so tough, he didn't worry. He wanted to run through you and not worry about getting hit.
Correct.
So.
And a lot of times he did.
Well, a lot of times he did. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So you had to make sure you put that right fighter on him. So that was my offset with them. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great fighter. Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I pick him up on my team any day.
Yeah, you know? And we did several times.
Yes. We had him at least one tournament for at least a half a day.
Half a day. Yeah.
We're gonna get into that one. 'Cause I
Yeah,
can't wait
let's
to hear
go.
how this is
So
gonna go.
after trade wins, did that go all the way through 97, or did you transition to? Or did you
TDS.
guys? Yeah, TDS was the next one, and I remember
Yeah.
seeing TDS in '98. But
Yeah, no, we went the whole year. We just finished it out. There was
Yeah.
nothing else to do, and we wanted
Correct.
to hold the players that we had. We had a real good team,
yeah,
So
yeah,
definitely held that team out. And then we went to TDS, which Freddie LePan was the one that got the sponsor with TDS.
okay,
Now, who was the roster on TDS?
TDS was, well, there was a few different rosters. It was Freddie
Yeah.
LePan, Johnny Guante still.
Was Preston on that team? Was Preston Clements on that team?
Preston was on
he
that
was,
team.
yeah,
Yes. And Jotty.
yep.
Okay.
And then there's another guy on the team, and you also had Thomas Wright as well.
Thomas Wright, yes. Thomas Wright was on team.
Yep.
Who was the other? Was it Rick
He
Lee?
but
It wasn't Rick Lee. It was a guy from the same area as Freddie and you guys. He had and I just remember he had like the craziest like hairdo. Like his hairdo was just like always perfect, even after he would fight. I cannot remember his name.
Oh.
No. You're talking
got
about
he's got an
George
Italian
Connolly.
name.
Yeah, George Conley. That's who. it
Yeah,
was.
Georgie. Yes. Yeah, Georgie.
Yeah,
we
I'll
trained
never forget-
together, Georgie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was on there for a minute. That's why, Jeff, that's why I call you in the middle when I'm trying to figure out dates and stuff. Alex, I call Jeff. I'm like, Jeff, what date was this and did I do this?
That sounds like a wise choice.
Oh man.
Yeah. That was the lineup with that team, and they were very successful also.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, listen to that lineup too. So, but this is before they all really started to hit it. Before, like Preston, before Jotty landed on JPM, these guys were fighting with you.
No.
Yes, and I wouldn't say. I would say Jotty got big on Elite, and then he got even bigger on TDS.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like
and
before
Preston,
they landed on JPM.
And Preston was moving up to adult, and
Yes.
then TDS
Right.
picked him up, and they were beating JPM most of the time. There was a few times where they lost, but like Bluegrass was one. But
Yeah, we hardly lost to them, and we beat them most of the time. And the one team fight that was upsetting that we lost against was it the Three Horsemen in DC?
Yeah. It was the
Alex Reyes, Manny Reyes, and
Gus.
yeah.
And Gus, yeah, Gus.
and Gus, yes, and it was Freddie LePan, Preston, and Jotty, and lost to them, and that was the downfall of that 3-man team right here, and that's when the falling out happened, and
then I think Battle of Atlanta that year was I think that was the year they had 2 Battle of Atlantas, or it was in the end of the year.
Yes.
I remember that being the last one, and then I just remember talking because
you guys had the candy cane uniforms on.
No, that was later on, but yeah,
was it? Because I remember calling you guys the candy cane.
In 97, we had the candy cane, or 96,
Okay.
97 we did, and then 98, but that was when Thomas switched over and came over because he knew that the team was going to end, and he went ahead and joined Team Elite at the end of the year.
Yes.
And that was kind of that transition that kind of moved you into joining Team Elite.
Right. Well, Spencer would always ask me, and I was called and said, hey, look, you don't know what's going on. We're, with that team. It was like a bunch of things. And I was like, you know what? Nico was a kid at the time.
Right.
And Tyrus wasn't even born yet. And so we're spending all this money on tournaments, and I wasn't used to that. I never paid for a tournament since I was like 20 years old. I was always sponsored or coaching and paid for. So I was like, oh, man, this stuff is getting expensive, so me and Melissa are taking my son Nico all over the place, and we're on our way to Charlie Lee's tournament. And I said to Melissa on the way there, I said, look, I said to my wife, I said, I'll tell you what, I said, I don't want to pay for these tournaments anymore. If this guy asks me to coach his team again, I'm going to do it, And we're driving up there at the same time. We get in the parking lot. We're going in the lobby, and Spencer's walking out, and they just lost team fighting.
Yeah. Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah. We were pissed.
Yeah. So Spencer was aggravated. He turned to me. He said, "Mike, do you want to coach my team or what?" And I said, "Yes." And then he said, "Well, let's sit down and talk." And that's how the CJB thing happened. Well, it was elite then.
Elite. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty much how it was.
And then we sat down. I said, "Look at Thomas is here. He was with me." And I said, "The only thing is I just want to make sure I can take Freddie LePan with me, because me and Freddie were tight, and he did get me the sponsor. And I'm very loyal. My guys, and you guys know that, is stick with me, I stick with you, And so I said, I can't leave Freddie behind. And Freddie wasn't on the team because of me. He's deservingly being on the team, but I just didn't want to separate from him, and I wanted that connection, So that's how that happened. We sat down, we negotiated, and that was history.
Yeah, it was the start of like one of the best teams,
like a super
ever.
dynasty.
Yeah. I mean,
and the one thing I will remember about my first team event with Elite was Canada, correct, Jeff? We were Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
And we did a 5-man challenge.
Yep.
It was Akin Williams, Jesse Ray, Frank Jones.
Let's see, Freddie and Thomas.
Freddie and Tom.
Yeah,
no, Doug. Doug. Was it Doug?
Doug was on there. Yeah, Doug as well. Yeah.
Doug
Yeah, wasn't Thomas still a junior at that point?
Yeah,
no,
Thomas.
He was an adult in '99. That was his first year.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, 99.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Doug fought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I pulled my back out on that day, or that getting on that morning or something. I get on the plane, I'm walking around, and I didn't really know Spencer at all. Spencer's the owner of CJB, and CJB stands for Chad, Janelle, and Brent. Okay. Therapy. That's Spencer's kid's name. And he owned like 3 or 4 therapy centers.
Right.
Okay. So I'm walking around and I keep going, oh, my back hurts. My back hurts. I'm figuring this guy's going to crack me he kept ignoring me. I'm like, man, this guy don't even like me. He asked me to coach his team, won't even fix my back. So the next tournament we go to, I said it to him, like, yo, man, my back hurt last time. What is it? You didn't want to fix my back, whatever. And he said, Mike, he said, I'm a businessman. He said, I know nothing about therapy. He said, I know how to run a business. He said, I opened up with my first therapy center as a joke, he said, and I hired a doctor and physical therapist, and that's it. I just run the company. I don't know. I'm like,
What kind of joke is that?
Oh, it's so funny.
What kind of joke is that?
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. But I can make some money.
Man.
No, somebody had asked him to open a therapy center. He was, I believe, a carpenter and a sheetrocker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Jeff?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So somebody had approached him, hey, open this company for me, da-da-da-da. And he did, and it was successful. So he gave that person their company, and he opened up 3 of his own. Yeah. And that's how he did it. His first one was like, oh, yeah, you want to open that? Go ahead, here. And that's how CJB took off.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, and in Baltimore area and everything, like there were tons of them there. So it was successful.
And I believe it was the Battle of Atlanta, Jeff, I think when Spencer got fed up with everything.
Like with the way everything was going. Yeah, it was.
It was the
battle. What year are we talking at this point?
In 99. So here's one thing that I remember. And I mean, we can whatever, but I do remember Akin really wanted to coach. And I remember that team fight was happening. Akin was kind of coaching. And I remember that. But I was a kid, so I'm just seeing things from outside. But I also just remember, like you and I had talked before, just certain people were just wanting a lot, right?
Right.
And we weren't winning, really. We were up there, and everyone knew us. Everyone wanted to cheer. We were the team everyone cheered for because they thought, hey, we can do it. But we were not winning.
No, and they had a great team. With Jesse, Akin, Frank Jones. They had Johnny,
Chris McBride.
McBride. They had a great team, but they just didn't put it together. And then at one turn, people were asking me, hey, ask Spencer for this and that. And so I said, are you sure, man? Because you guys ain't even winning yet, you know? Right. And oh, no, we want, you know, they wanted the little cab fares from the hotel to there, you know, and Spencer put out a lot of money. And so then Spencer, I went to him, I told him, I said, look, this is what these guys want. And he's like, well, that's it. Team's done. And I was like, that was short. He said, but Mike, me and you are going to travel around and pick a team. He says, I got 100% trust in you, and you pick my team. We'll travel. So Spencer, with a friend, me and Melissa, went to the Super Grands. Right. And they were in Canada at the time.
This is 99.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was 99.
It was the end of 99. Yeah.
It's got to be the end of 99.
Yeah.
It was the end of 98?
No, it was 99. It was 2000s when we had the blue uniforms that said Elite 2000 on them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we go to the Super Grands. We're there for like 4 or 5 days in Niagara Falls. It was in Niagara Falls, but we only went to the tournament for one night, and that was it. We just spent a little vacation. We go there, and I'm watching the finals. I see Jason Tankson fighting Trevor Nash.
Yep.
Okay. Trevor Nash is basically fighting with one leg. Like he hurt his knee really bad. He
fought like 14 fights in a row or something like that. He went as a wild card. And it was just insane. It was people that have been to almost every Super Grands still talk about that performance of just him going there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe even with a hurt leg, he beat Jason once.
Yeah.
Like, because Trevor had to win twice. And it went into another fight, and Jason ended up winning it. And so I said to Spencer, I said, I want that kid Jason. And I said, I want that kid Trevor. They were both young, 17. I don't even know if they were 18 yet.
18, 19, yeah. So
yeah, they were young.
Jason was on Kanai before. Trevor, that was his first year as an adult.
Yeah.
And Jason, that was his second one. So he was like 20, and Trevor was 18 or 19.
Yeah, Jason was 19. Yeah. Yep. And so I talked to them, and then also we approached Raymond Daniels. Okay, but at this time,
he wasn't on Paul Mitchell
my phone call. He wasn't on Paul Mitchell yet. So, and Raymond Daniels still bugs me till this day and said, you could have me and Jason at the same time, you know? and I tell him we still won. We didn't need, no. Listen, but the thing is at that time, we had such a solid sponsorship, and I felt like, hey, look, we're only going to ask once. I called Jason. I'm like, look, you got to let me know either yes or no. We don't want to wait, because we're not waiting for you to think about a Paul Mitchell or this team or that a team. You know, we don't want you to have to choose and wait for us as like second fiddle. Either you're going to do it or you're not. So Trevor and Jason right away both said yes. They joined. And Raymond was like, well, I got to think about it. And then we just ended it right there. Right.
And you already said, hey, we still have Thomas still wants to fight for me, and Freddie still wants to fight for me.
Right, exactly.
So we have a solid 4 right there.
Yes.
Yeah. And so for me, I was 14, 15, maybe something like that. And so my mom was the coach. Manager of the team. My mom was managing the team. Spencer kind of said, hey, we're done for a while. And I shared this before. He just said, keep wearing the uniform, Jeff, all next year. And that way people know when we come back, we come back. We kind of came back a lot earlier than what we originally expected, right? It was a few times, and we just all had meetings and stuff. And that was what was, for me, was the coolest part about the team, was like, it was just, you guys were a unit, like Spencer, coach, and my mom, like you guys worked well together. At least I thought so.
Oh no, 100%. Your mom brought that team together. And in the beginning, I didn't understand it because I was very rigid and Robin, Jeff's mom, did like games and contests and this and that. And I was like, what are we doing? This is a karate team. And not realizing, because I was so just wanting to win and fight and that's it, not realizing that really brought the team together so tight.
Right.
She did a fantastic job at that, and it definitely brought our team together really, really tight, for sure.
Right. Yeah. And it was always funny. I remember a lot of people didn't understand a lot of her stuff at first, but she's like, hey, you guys take care of that. I'll take care of the morale and everything else and stuff. Yeah. And you also had to remember too, we had a lot of juniors at the time too of elite.
Yes.
When we switched over to the
so
blue,
many, like it was a little strange, like just how many juniors were on the team in comparison to other teams that would be around.
Well, when I first got on the team, Jeff, I think the roster was something like crazy, like 53 or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't that many. No.
It
was like 25. It was a lot.
How
of
many?
People.
How many?
I'd say like 20 something, but yeah. No,
at
one
I think
point
you might have hit 30. You might have hit 30.
We might have at one point. It was a lot, man. It was a lot.
It felt like there was 100 people on the team. I was like, what?
And then the next year we went to 8, maybe.
8, yeah.
And so it was me. As far as the juniors, it was me. Stephanie moved up to adult. We kept Stephanie. And then Ida Henley for a little bit. And then she only lasted about half a year.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I was really the only junior until we picked some others up. But I mean, it was a good time. And here's one of the things too. We talked about this on our 2000 episode. This is when we said, hey, we're going to go and do a little bit of everything. We're going to do NBL and NASCA. Yes. And I think that really benefited the team to do different things.
That benefited sport karate.
Right.
That benefited sport karate quite a bit, to have a team that good hit everything.
Well, we did. We hit everything. I mean, one year we went to just about every tournament, and that we went undefeated. I think in 2 years we lost once.
Right. Yeah.
In
from
2 years.
2000 to 2002. Yeah.
Yeah. We lost one time in that 2-year span. But I mean, Spencer, when he put his trust in, and I remember, I'll never forget, my most turnaround player was Mallory Woods.
Yep.
Mallory Woods was my we're in Atlantic City, and Mallory got whooped, and he was Spencer's boy. So I pulled Spencer aside, and I'm like, yo, man, your guy's not that good. We can't have a team and have a guy that, like this on the team. So Spencer pulled him over and said, look, Mike is going to cut you, and if you don't do a turnaround and pump up your game, and then I told Mallory, man, you have to show him performance. And ever since that day, Mallory was winning his division. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was beating Donald every tournament. Mallory would listen, and if I could say something to Mallory, and boom, he would do it like in an instant. He was the most turnaround player I've ever had.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a fun time. We were on a whole nother level there. Just doing NBL, NASCA, going to Quebec at that time. That wasn't either. Yeah. It was a fun time. My mom says we had 28 was the most, but I don't know.
28. Well, I'm sure your mom would know. To me, I'm used to like 4, 6, 10.
Yeah, I know.
To me, it felt like 53. I'm still going to say it was 53.
So one of the things I remember about this whole time was we made sure we did training camps, at least once a year.
Yes.
At least those first couple of years. The first one in 2000, we went to your school. We went to Connecticut, and we trained.
Yes.
And so we were all pretty beat up. Now, what's funny is that was 2000. So I had already went. And
I think I saw footage from that training camp.
Yeah, we had footage. Yeah, and see, I already stayed with Spencer for a week, and I stayed with Spencer for a week to train with Ibby, and that was when I went to actually every one of his physical therapy centers, and one of them gave him a massage every place. So he hooked me up. Oh man, but yeah. So the training camps. Go ahead and share about that.
Training camps were awesome. I mean, I remember Rene Perrault. He came in and injured. He was kicked by a horse or something in his leg. You remember that?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, he was.
Time out. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Rene Perrault came to the training camp after he got kicked by a horse.
Yes. Yeah. See, the one thing with Spencer is he gave us everything. And when he asked for something,
Correct.
he asked for something maybe once a year to do a training camp, to do an appearance or whatever. Okay. And you showed up. And that was it. I mean, but the players were also paid at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and pretty
he
young.
paid the players. Yeah. And also they were fined. If you didn't come to a meeting on time, $50.
Yep.
Okay. If you came, I think Jeff's mom, I think held Jason and Mike Gorelli held the record. Like one tournament, they got fined like $300 and something or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
At one tournament. Yeah, like they fell asleep and didn't show up and missed a division or something in South Carolina. It was So they were like the fine's $300. I was like, whoa. Yes. So I mean, Spencer ran everything to the T, and when he wanted something, he just wanted to be appreciated and have you there for it. So so Renee was showing up being kicked by a horse and could barely walk, but went through the whole training camp.
Correct.
The one thing I remember about the training camp that really sticks out is Claire kicking Thomas in the head or something.
Yeah.
And then Thomas backhand Rich her so hard. I was like, what are you doing? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because then the next year that happened, I remember we went to Miami.
Yes, and then we did, and then they did the whatchamacallit, the Spencer actually did a team fight that day.
Yes,
and gave money to the winning team. He split our team up.
It was 2-on-2.
And we made a bunch of teams 2-on-2, and he gave out the winning team like a couple $100 or something.
Right. Yeah, we lost to Jason and so it was Trevor and I. And we made it to the finals against Jason and Leroyce. Right? Yeah, and we lost by a little bit or whatever. But, that was another one where I'm fighting Claire, and I'm like, I could – Claire still is out. And I go with the ridge hand like Thomas, and I hit her all in the throat. And she'll never tell – she always talks to me about it, like, thanks for ridge handing me a throat, Jeff. Gosh.
Listen,
man.
The last thing these guys wanted to do, too, was fight because the training camps were crucial. Crucial. They were really, really hard. I put them through a lot. We did a good training camp.
Right. At least after that one.
I've been to Mike Conroy school before, and I've done some of the training. And what I did, I'll never forget. Victor Suarez and I were there. Coach, I know you remember, right? Victor Suarez and I were there for this was like 4 days, right? We were over there like 4 or 5 days, and you're exactly right. The last thing you want to do is fight. Like, you can't walk, right? It's all day long. You're just training. It's like the most obnoxious martial arts training drills that you could think of. Whatever you could think of, you're like, I'm going to make this really hard. Coach has already thought of that. He's already thought of that. And he's like, well, I got this guy coming in. I'm going to make it even harder. And then you can't walk. Like, all you want is water. That's all you want by the end of the day is water.
Then Hamed and Ashley and Troy Sexton, they all came down. I don't know if you were there at that one.
I wasn't there at that one.
No, and Hamed said, come on, let's not do the drills. Let's just spar. I said, okay.
Yeah, okay.
And I made them do 100 straight rounds.
Oh, man.
They couldn't move, couldn't break. I said, no, you're not stopping. Keep going. Keep going. You want to just spar? This is what we're going to do. And they sparred.
I'd rather do the drills. It was
100 straight rounds, and I pushed them so hard. It was a good time,
man. But, those were good times. And then we went on the cruise, so that was a fun time. So we were undefeated for a year at that time, and that was kind of, Spencer was pretty pleased with just the way the team was going. We added a few people. We added Russ, who was a great addition to the team.
Russ
Taylor.
Yep.
We got Leroyce as another junior, which is Jason's younger brother, and added a lot of fun to the team. Corinne was
Karen Bellinger,
Yep, Karen Bellinger, Forms competitor. Everyone else was pretty much from that time. Freddie was still involved.
Yeah.
Thomas was not anymore. He stopped at that time.
He stopped competing. Yeah.
Renee was still, and that was pretty much John Sue. We had John Sue at the time as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we had everybody.
Because John Sue had a blip at the time when he was on CJB.
Right. So Jason Tankson, Trevor. I mean, we had top level people that were winning in different leagues, that were standing out their own. Even myself at the time, that was when I was doing the Pac-Man. So everyone knew who I was.
My favorite. That's my favorite, the Pac-Man. But I mean, at the time, nobody knew these players. Like they didn't really know. Russ Taylor was young. Jason was young. Trevor was young. Claire was a baby. I mean, shoot, the first Claire's
was
first
she
tournament.
even 18?
I don't know, because her first tournament she brought her mom to.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the first tournament, and I believe it was Atlantic City, right, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
Atlantic
City.
And it ended up to be her and Nikki, and they're both on the same team. And by the way, Nikki was the easiest person ever for me to coach. I didn't have to say much to Nikki.
Right.
But she, them two are fighting on stage, and Nikki destroyed Claire. Claire is crying. She's like, we're on the same team. She just beat her. I'm like, well, you just you're fighting for the grand. That's what happens.
Right.
I never thought we were going to see Claire again. Claire came back and one of the top women fighters ever. But that first time was like so funny.
Well, and she beat Regina that day too.
Yes.
And so, I mean, man, it was great.
Well, when I had to
Claire beat Regina that day, or Nikki beat Regina that day?
No, Claire
did. Claire did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That was one of the hardest things for me to do, was to let Claire and Trevor go off the team. You know, that definitely
2003.
Yes.
And it was going back to what you talked about. Spencer asked us to do one thing a year.
Yeah.
And I don't even think we did one in 2002. Really. I think maybe the only thing maybe was actually Super Grands, actually, because he came and just hung out, remember?
Right.
And he just wanted us to do something together. And we always tried to do that, even from when the team started. You know, we went to Universal Studios together years ago and US Open, doing different things like that, just because that was important to him, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so 2003, it was coming to Baltimore, and we did a little cruise, and we just hung out. We had a set fight at a tournament, right?
Yep, at Leroy Taylor's tournament.
Right.
Yep, and Spencer wanted it. The cruise or something was for him, like a dinner cruise for him or something with his business. He wanted to show his team
business.
off.
Yes.
He wanted all his players to be at this thing, and Claire and Trevor for some reason couldn't make it.
Right.
And so Spencer called me up after that, or he actually had a meeting with me there, and he's like, Mike, you got to get rid of him. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Claire and Trevor, they're awesome. He's like, I don't care. Ask them to do one thing, and, you know, they got to go. And I had to call them up when I got back, and it was the hardest thing. I had to tell them, you know, sorry, I got to dismiss you guys from the team. And I literally sat on my couch and cried. Tears came down my face. That's how close I was to all these guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, man. And I think for a while, and they just thought it was me, you know, but Spencer's not going to tell you anything. He's going to tell me to tell you. That's my job is to enforce what Spencer wants to do. He gave me in charge. He never said, hey, Mike, I think this player should be in, or I think we should pick up this player. That was it. But when it came down to when he wanted someone gone or something done, it went through me or Robin. So, you know, we had to do that. And that was like the hardest decision for me probably ever in coaching. And
at that time, my mom wasn't involved either. My mom was not involved in 2003. So
right, that's right. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So
just
tell her thank you for putting that all on me. Because I would have told her to call.
Yeah, I know you would have.
So 2000. So at the end of 2003. Now we're down. There's no Trevor. There's no Claire. We're moving into 2004.
Right. It's Jason, Damon.
Who do we got?
We picked up Damon Gilbert.
2001.
So we had Damon, still had Russ Taylor. And when we got rid of Trevor, I picked up Ninja because Ninja gave Trevor fits.
And I think that actually still, if we get that timeline right, that's still like middle, like the summer of 2003, right?
Yeah, it was right before Bluegrass because we went to Bluegrass. We also had Mark Nadeau.
Yep.
Mark Nadeau, yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we're going to 2004, and we got who's on the roster now?
Jason, Tom Roberts, I think.
Yeah, Tom Roberts.
Yeah.
And
Tom
also
Roberts.
Josh Horwich.
Josh Horwich.
Yep. And of course, and Jason Damon. Yeah. So Jason Damon was, I mean, from 2001 without
Jason.
It was Jason and Trevor. Then it kind of turned into Jason and Damon as far as the two-headed monster, you know?
Right. Exactly. And then at the time, one of the bigger point getters were Elias and for Paul Mitchell. So that was my main reason for picking up Josh Horwich, because Josh Horwich had an excellent record against Elias.
Oh, you messed up. You messed up.
Who messed up?
You messed up.
How'd I mess up?
Coach, you know where you messed up.
With you?
That's exactly
You had the winning record at that. I don't remember you competing a lot back then.
I did. But there was in 2002, I basically didn't compete.
Right, because I remember you were gone for a little while.
2002, I pretty much didn't compete.
Yeah.
And not that much in 3.
Midway. Yeah, like the summer of 2003 on, I was competing.
Okay, so you were getting back,
I was getting back in.
Yeah, so
but
2004 is when you really went,
That's where you messed up. But just saying.
Listen, we still won. I didn't mess up.
I know you
now
win.
you sound like Raymond. I didn't mess up, okay?
Yeah, and there's a little bit of difference between here and I.
Well, listen, I can tell you some stories about all these teams. All these guys were, when we built a lot of teams, because when they weren't with us and went somewhere else, nobody was looking at a lot of these guys. You know, most of the other teams were built off of us when we didn't have teams no more.
It's true
if you really think about it.
When they would leave your team, they would pick up that fighter or that competitor. Yeah, you're right.
And that goes all the way to the Hungarians. Because when I was full circle, Tom Kelly, we put the call into the Hungarians. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we were the first ones to contact them.
Wow.
Zolt.
Yeah.
We contacted them, and then somebody else stepped in. And then later, I contacted Tomas and Richie.
Wow.
Nobody was thinking about them neither. And then
now this is okay. So now wait, what? We're in now the first circle era.
Yeah. Well,
we gotta pause on that.
We gotta pause a little bit.
All right.
We'll get to that part on
because we're gonna get to that in part 2. So this is everybody. This is there's too much when you're with Conroy. There's just too much.
Correct.
It's sort of like Mike Conroy has forgotten more about sport karate than most of us will ever know. All right.
Correct.
So there's just way too much to pack into one show.
Yes.
So, Coach, is it all right if we do that and
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's finish up. Let's wrap up the CJB era. Then we will get everybody into next week.
Yeah, because the first
long,
CJB era ended. How?
In 2004. Yeah.
And why?
The main reason was Spencer's kids. They got into basketball.
Correct.
And they were getting older. So he spent a lot of time into the basketball. He kept us going for a long time and just not going to the tournaments. And he did keep us going until, he realized that it's just not really worth it for him, to not be involved. So he he just drifted away, and I don't blame him. He stayed with his kids and did what he had to do for his family, and that's awesome.
Man,
and
yeah, he did so much for us, man.
so much.
Yeah.
He did so much for all of us on a business and personal levels. He just definitely was always right there for us, for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you were a part of like the biggest, owners of sport karate teams outside of what, Metro?
Paul Mitchell.
I mean, yeah, outside of Metro, you were a part of.
Yes,
but what
some
he's
of the
saying
best
is like
sponsors.
you've been, have
Yes,
the best sponsors.
some of the best sponsors.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I truly believe that. I mean, Spencer, and when I tell you, like, you basically paid for nothing. He paid food. He gave you expense money.
Wow.
If you performed, he took us on trips, gave us training camps, had us do appearances. I mean, so. Yeah,
there's some
Spencer.
fun footage of us doing demos. So we did a demo at the cruise. All right, we'll share a couple funny stories. That was hilarious. So we had to do a demo on the cruise on the boat, and we were like, everyone's doing something. So we had Claire, Renee, Mallory, all the fighters doing form stuff. It was fun. Okay, but we told the story how that cruise and that demo ended up backfiring on me. All right, because who did everyone thought was so awesome on that demo? Leroyce, right? So, man, Jeff, you and Leroyce should do a team form together. Yeah, you and Leroyce should do a team form together. And I love Leroyce, one of my best friends ever, and we still joke about this to this day. I talked to him a few months ago about this. And we had to go and do a team form, and we did it at Capital Classics. And we trained for a good week. And I'm doing the form, and I'm realizing no one's next to me doing the form with me. He's just watching me. And he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And
Get out.
Yeah, so I was a part of some bad – this is why I say Jeff Doss hates team forms, because I had bad experiences like this, okay? Yeah. Do you remember that, Coach?
Oh, yes, I remember.
We'll never give him – oh, man. I mean, we'll never let that go. It was funny. So
you know my favorite memory of you and Leroyce.
Yes, we can go ahead and share that story.
So
that was CJB also, right?
Yeah, Super Grands 2002, Panama City.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah.
Well, it didn't start off good. That's when I fined everybody for Claire stuck her finger in my peanut butter.
Yeah. Yeah. And he fined everybody that was in a certain room or whatever. You know what? No one will fess up to it. Y'all are fine. I'm like, I think I just got there that day too. I'm like, what the heck?
We were there for a week, so we all went shopping, and I bought this peanut butter and jelly stuff mix, so I go to open it up to make a sandwich one day, and there's a finger mark through it. I'm like, who the heck opened my thing and put a finger mark through it? So I called the whole team, and who did this? That's one thing I hated, was people just touching my stuff. I'll give you anything, but just don't touch it. Just don't grab it. Ask me, and you could have it. So nobody would fess up. Everybody's sitting there, so I said, the whole team is fined. So I fined the whole team. Leroyce, I don't know if it was Leroyce or Jeff,
it was one of us.
Stood up, Leroyce and Jeff. Coach, we didn't do it, but we took a Coke. I'm so sorry. I'll get you another soda.
Both of us did.
Oh my goodness.
We started
I had to throw the whole thing of peanut butter out. So come to find out, it was
Wait, you
Claire.
threw it out?
Of course I threw it. I don't want somebody's finger in my peanut butter.
I don't care.
No. See, that's why you guys got COVID now. All this COVID around, letting people stick their finger in your peanut butter and jelly.
Wow. Oh, man, this is too fun. Yeah, so that was hilarious. And then the worst was, so I came straight from college. I hadn't had a haircut in like a month. And I like my hair short, okay? This is pretty long for me, okay? So Leroy said, I'll cut your hair. I'm like, all right. So he takes Damon's beard trimmers.
Oh, no.
And starts cutting my hair.
It wasn't even a beard trimmer. It was a mustache trimmer. It was about this wide.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not.
I walk in the room and I hear zzz, zzz. Zzz, what the hell are you doing? Leroy and Jeff are in the bathtub cutting each other's hair with the mustache trimmer. The thing wasn't even an inch wide, and they're going like 1,000 times shaving each other's head.
So like he messed my hair up, and then he's like, you know what? You're gonna have to just shave it bald, but you know what? I'll do it with you because I feel bad. So both of us are completely have to just go completely skin bald. Yeah, and it was windy. It was cold. It was bad, but yeah, it was fun.
Everybody does it one time. Everybody messes their hair up with the beard trimmer one time because they don't do it twice.
So we those are just kind of the fun things that we had. Because I know we need to wrap this up soon, because we're an hour and a half, but man, this is so much fun.
Yeah, it is.
A couple rivalries. Let's just talk about a couple of moments that maybe you remember from those teams, especially like the CJB era, because I think even now people just still say that that's the best three-man team. A lot of people, Jason, Trevor, Damon, and also could have been Jason, Trevor, Brian Plimple, That's funny how, there's so many could have, and Jason, Trevor, Raymond, like you said. I mean, it's crazy, but yeah.
The best, I think the best three-man team definitely was Jason, Trevor, and Damon. I don't see any other three-man team beating them if everybody's on the top of their game.
Right.
They talked about the Donald, the Ronald, the Mafia. I just don't see them beating them three. Right. For sure. I really feel that that's probably the best three-man team of all time.
Right. Let's see. I know one team that was upset that we beat them a lot. Sorry, Travis. But SES, but we had some good fights with SES, and especially in NBL, it was we can share about that if you want
to. SES, we
they did beat us once, though.
Y'all trying to trigger me, aren't you?
Get on here, Travis.
y'all already triggered me with the 99 Trevor and Jason fight. Because I was the number one seed that year, and they both beat me that day. And I hadn't lost all year.
Yeah.
Well, when we came in, it was like a big upset. I remember when we came into the NBL, when Boyce was trying to get us in, and Boyce would call me every day for a month and begged me, Mike, please, you have to calm down. You can't act out at an NBL tournament. You have to be every day. That was his main concern about our team going to the NBL. And I said, Boyce, listen, I believe in what's right. I said, I'm not going to act out. If everything is right, it's okay. I said, the reason I act out at an event is because it's allowed. Right. Okay? If you allow me to do it, if you allow the guy across from me to do it, he's not going to outdo me. I can't allow that guy to persuade or get the things his way. And I knew the rules. I made sure I knew every rule.
Always.
Okay? And so, like, I was coach for a lot of different teams, a lot of different leagues, World Combat League. If I'm not allowed to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to jump up on a stage on TV for Chuck Norris League and be yelling and screaming because it's not allowed. So if you put them rules down, the reason it's done in NASCAR is because there's no penalty. It's allowed.
Right.
Okay. When it's not allowed for everybody, okay, then I'll stop doing it. So
I like the way you worded that. I like the way you worded that one.
Yeah.
So that was Boyce's biggest concern. And when we went over to the NBL, it was like a big shocker. It was like, these guys, we were almost looked at like renegades. We were like, went in there and loud and I don't want to say loud and obnoxious, but very strong-minded. Like we were just walked in
there to win.
Yeah, not with an attitude, but with confidence.
Yeah.
So that was just our whole demeanor. I kept the guys in the room. When it's time to team fight, 10 minutes before team fight, we walk in there as a team. Boom. We walk out. I mean, NBL, I loved it. We had some very good times in the NBL, and I met some good friends, and I mean, I've known Richard for years, but a lot of the players on the team, actually, they took my son Nico as a junior. I think it was Jamon, Nico, and I forget who the third was. I don't know if it was Willie. They were juniors at the time, and
I think it was.
It would have been Willie.
Yeah, they won. Was that Kansas City, Travis?
Yeah, Kansas City. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so they won there. I mean,
yeah.
But you do what they allow. But SES was a great team. They had a good amount of players. I think you guys had 65 on your team at that time, right, Travis?
Not that much.
No.
You guys had a big team.
It grew a lot after the first year. It really did grow a lot. That's when we added Carlos, Ricky, Regina, Brian Plimple,
Tara.
Yep, Tara, Gandhi.
Yep.
See, that's when we got there. I don't remember SES before that.
See, the original SES team was me, Ski, Jovan Trumszewski, Jeff Gears, Terrence Alford, Willie, and I think that was it. That was the national team. Then we had a regional team that was SES too, where some of the more juniors were on there. But that was pretty much it.
I thought the 99 Super Grands, Brian was on the team, though.
Brian got added that for the Super Grands. The original start of it, through the whole year, he wasn't there. And then at the Super Grands, that was his first tournament. He got put on the team. Because that's why we had the team fight a wild card. It was just me, Brian, and Jovan. And I think Ski had school. I think his final, so he couldn't come.
Yeah, we weren't there, right?
Where Jovan was at. What'd you say,
No,
Coach?
we
weren't there.
No, that was the year you picked up Trevor and Jason. So I was the number 1 seed that year. And Jason was like basically the number 2 seed. And so Trevor had to fight all the way up to Jason. And he got all the way up to Jason, and he beat Jason beat him. And so he went to the losers bracket. So then me and Jason had a fight, and Jason won by 1 at the last second. So I went into the losers bracket, and Trevor had to fight all the way back up to me. And prior to that, I had a winning record against Trevor, but Trevor hit me with everything that day. Like I was like, wait, what just happened? I don't understand what happened. And so that whole year, I hadn't lost in the division. And so I was just like, yo, how do I get to the last thing and I just lose everything this weekend? So that was y'all triggered me when y'all started talking about Trevor and Jason on stage. So I remember Trevor limping.
Did you start twitching and?
Yeah, man. Like, he was hurt too, and he kept hitting me with stuff. I don't understand this. I didn't understand it.
Trevor,
he's not normal. He's not.
No.
He could be sitting down in a chair and still fighting you and hitting you with stuff. It's like he just doesn't give up. That's one.
And it don't matter if he's injured.
No, and everything is with such bad intentions. Trevor, everything is with bad intentions.
Yep.
Like that one time at Montreal with Ninja. Oh man, you remember that? Where he punted. Yes. Yeah, he kicked Ninja really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
you
bad.
Remember also they did a 3-man team challenge with us. There was four teams. There was a Canadian team, we were the U.S. team, and Trevor fought on it with us.
Yeah.
And 2 other teams, and we did a
Venezuela and Guatemala.
Fight.
Yeah.
Continuous team fight, which everybody been to Quebec and 5,000 people in the stands, and when they did this continuous team fighting, the crowd was nuts.
It was nuts.
Like watching a full contact match. It was Trevor, Freddie, and Jason won the whole thing. But it was basically full contact matches. I really like that. It's the only time we did a continuous team fight, but I thought it was awesome.
It was great.
To continue to do them.
And really, those were 3 of the best continuous fighters as well, on NBL too. They were, Jason and Trevor and Freddie were all doing continuous and point at NBL tournaments, and were just amazing.
I remember what's his name, Brian Swartz.
Brian Swartz, was undefeated for 5 years.
Was undefeated until we came there. Then Trevor beat him. Then Renee beat him. Brian Swartz was the man then, and then them guys, he didn't win after them guys showed up.
Right.
But,
Right.
yeah, that 3-man continuous fight. I wish they would do more than that, more of that. That was actually really, really cool.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I mean, we had a great run, lots of fun, and I know. So we're going to get into part 2 next week, which will be kind of the end of CJB into what was
the new CJB,
the new CJB, and Wasaru,
the full
and whatever
circle,
else. Yep.
Wasaru.
Yep. So into
everything.
into
Yeah,
current day.
it's a
So
lot.
we have a lot to share and talk about, but thank you, Coach, for coming on, and we are excited to hear more next week. I know we went, of course, like always, we're going to go over, especially with this, but so
thank you guys.
Yeah, so this is fun, and you guys, keep commenting things, guys, and we'll reply. I know I reply some and throughout. So, got anything else, Alex? You want to say?
Sure. Before we go, if you guys love this show,
yes,
and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Share the podcast with others. Give us a 5-star rating. Comment. Leave us a review. Share the podcast with 5, 15, 20 of your friends. Get the message out there. If you're a sport karate competitor, fan, or practitioner, share it with everybody.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Next week, we're also going to get into your boxing as well and everything that you're doing. So thank you so much, Coach. And
thank you guys.
We will talk more next week. All right. Let's take them out.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Thank you, guys, and see you next week. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.